Madam Clerk.
In accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act of the State of New Jersey, adequate notice of this work session regular meeting of the Franklin Township Council was made by the posting on the bulletin board in the township, in the municipal building and the township website, and electronically transmitted to the officially designated newspapers, indicating that this work session regular meeting would take place in the municipal building, council chambers at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, November 22nd, 2022.
Madam Clerk, I'm sorry, if we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Madam Clerk, if you could call the roll.
Councilman Embarrasson, Councilwoman Francois. Here. Mayor Kramer.
Here.
Councilman Onijaka.
Here.
Councilmember Potosnik.
Present.
Deputy Mayor Pruitt. Councilwoman Udine. Councilman Vasanella.
Here.
Councilman Wright.
It's time for item number 5, commendations and proclamations. Councilwoman Francois, I'm just bringing this on her right now, if she would like to do the 100th anniversary of the Franklin Women's Club. We have representatives here.
Hold this button down and
There's a trick to the microphone. Good evening, everyone. I'm honored here today to be able to present this commendation to the Franklin Women's Club. And I will read it. It says, whereas the Franklin Women's Club has been providing friendship and community service since 1922, 100 years. Give them a hand.
1922.
None of you look 100 years old. No founding members, okay. And having joined the General Federation of Women's Clubs in 1928, an international organization with over 10 million members in 30 countries and the largest organization of volunteer women in the world. How about that? Whereas the Franklin Women's Club is committed to advocating on local, state, and national and international issues, including but not limited to domestic violence, awareness and prevention, environmental issues, homelessness, and decreasing recidivism of drunk and impaired driving. And whereas the Franklin Women's Club has undertaken many important volunteer and awareness-raising projects, including Girls Career Institute participation, college scholarships for Franklin Township school senior girls, Shot at Life Companion for prevent child abuse and mental health awareness, international immunizations, Free the Girls Project and human trafficking awareness, holiday cheer boxes for veterans, active duty military personnel, and nursing home residents. And let's not forget holiday food baskets for local needy families. Whereas the Women's Club continues to strive to have a positive impact on the community while providing its members opportunities for creativity through the home and fine arts, conservation and gardening, and developing friendships. Did you get all that? That's a lot. Now, therefore, our mayor, Philip Kramer, on behalf of the Franklin Township Council and the entire Franklin community, do hereby commend these wonderful women and congratulate the Franklin Women's Club on their 100th anniversary and call upon all citizens to render their support to the members of this organization and to make themselves aware of the Franklin Women's Club, whose members are providing such invaluable service to our homes, our schools, and our community. I want to cry. Thank you so much, ladies. Thank you. Somebody taking a picture? I know someone wants to say something from the Women's Club.
I'd like to thank the township and the town council for this recognition. We're looking forward to our next century of service and community friendship, and earmarking this year, we're gathering multiples of 100 hours of service in our community and around the world this year, and so far we've totaled up about 900 hours this year. So we're working toward that 10th multiple of 100 hours. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your service, ladies. We really appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. For our next commendation, we have recognition of the Environmental Commission and Sustainable Jersey Silver Recertification. Councilmember Potasnik. Come on up.
I'll just have this part. Figure it out. All right, amazing. So last week was something called the League of Municipalities, where all the towns across New Jersey, over 500, get together in Atlantic City to learn about best practices in a whole host of issues. And Franklin Township and its Green Team and Environmental Commission were recognized with a silver certification for Sustainable Jersey, and that's what this resolution is. And this is some, not all, of the environmental commissioners who've been doing an excellent job. And I'll just read it real quick. Whereas Sustainable Jersey is a network and movement of municipalities, schools, and school districts working collectively to bring about sustainable Jersey. And whereas the program culminates in the prestigious certification award to municipalities and schools that have documented meeting a set of rigorous standards, and whereas the silver certification means a municipality has made significant progress in a number of categories towards sustainability and is a statewide and national leader. This is the highest township level that can be received on whole. Whereas Franklin Township, I had that little part, sorry. Whereas Franklin Township has received its third Sustainable Jersey Silver certification, and whereas Franklin Township Green Team and the Environmental Commission serve a vital role in developing plans, implementing programs, and assisting with the educational opportunities about Sustainable Jersey, their actions focusing on solar energy, wind energy, electric vehicles, and charging stations, as well as open space preservation, just to name a few. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Mayor and Council of Franklin Township here in Somerset County, New Jersey, on behalf of the residents of Franklin Township, that it is hereby commended the Green Team and the Environmental Commission for their hard work on attaining the Sustainable Jersey Silver certification. So congratulations. And this is the plaque that continues to add the different denominations. So in the beginning it was bronze and then bronze, and we're sticking with silver. And I'm going to pass the mic over to Paul, our chair, to share a few words.
Okay, thank you, Ed. First, I want to thank the members of the Environmental Commission for their steadfast dedication to protecting the environment here in Franklin Township. Their expertise and experience bring a level of excellence rarely seen. All of us are environmental activists. Many of us are already well known to the council and to the township. As chair of the commission, truly excited to have such a distinguished group of commissioners joining in our efforts to make Franklin a better place. The township, as Ed has said, has received the renewal of our silver certificate. We received 420 points. We only needed 350. Did a great job. The certificate is good till 2025, when we'll have to recertify. A short list of the things that we've done. Green Infrastructure Action Plan, hosting stream cleanups, effective municipal communications with residents, installing EV chargers, completion of an environmental audit of Naaman Williams Park, grants for local health assessments, which is underway, and over 500 residents have completed the questionnaire. Focus groups have been formed and are active. Educating the public on the New Jersey plastic bag ban. Commission members distributed hundreds of reusable bags at various events throughout Franklin Township. We are currently working on finalizing an anti-idling ordinance. We've been working on a revision to the tree ordinance with the Tree Commission. And we've started looking at enhancing the New Jersey solar-ready roof requirement with additional features to further green new structures. The City of Denver Environmental Group has offered to help us with their expertise and experience. So the need is evident that protecting the health of our residents by improving environmental conditions is vital to the success of Franklin Township.
And congratulations and thank you. And I'll mention Councilman Ted Chase, my predecessor and mentor, is here as well, and doing an excellent job and continuing to shine a light on our environmental progress going forward, and we want to recognize him and thank him. And Tara Kenyon is a staff lead with us as well. Can we get a photo? Do you guys get a photo?
Yeah, sure, Jen, thanks.
No, thank you.
Bill can do that too, but he's.
Thank you. Congrats. Thank you. Who wants to keep this stuff? Thank you.
You got it?
Yep.
Councilmember Potasnik. We are now on to public discussion. Do we have a motion to open to the public?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor of opening to the public, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion is carried. There are a lot of people here, so we're going to limit things to 3 minutes. No yielding of time. May only come up once. Please state your name and address when you come up.
I'm Mrs. Peterson from 12 Lake Avenue in Somerset. I honor those people for green. I'm now going to address again idling. How many of you sitting on this council board would want to be awakened at 1:30 in the morning, 3:30 in the morning, 4:30 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, and sometimes the idling goes on all night long? There is in the state of New Jersey a very clearly addressing idling can be enforced on public roadways and on private property, and that includes residential streets. These trucks coming in the middle of the night need a place to park somewhere in this township where they can idle themselves to death. They have up and killed now all of our mature fir trees. It's not insects. It's where the fumes come through the strip that goes across Hamilton between 4 and the hill in the next house, and it's time that we stop it. Number two, not only is it that it's affecting the environment because some nights you can't breathe, and as I've said again in the past, high levels of carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide in your house that approach a toxic level are inappropriate. I have before me what the township wrote up as octave levels. These to me make no sense as a retired nurse. I have from the Harvard Medical School and Medical Center that when you reach 85 or higher decibels of noise, you can have hearing loss. And believe me, I don't live that far from 7-Eleven, and when they're sitting on hill, spring, or lake by the fire plug or a little beyond, The level can go as high as 85 or 90 inside your house with the windows closed. So I'm asking this township again, please address the idling situation. And as you do it, address the lies that are in what was signed by 7-Eleven, and you have it on the docket. It's number DBA-15-0010. Look it up, because they're also pumping gas in the middle of the night because you wouldn't smell gas fumes if they were closed. And they're only supposed to be working from 6 a.m. until 11 p.m. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening. Kiki Anastasakos, 3204 Enclave Circle. I am here as a member of the Citizens Warehouse Action Group, along with many of our members. So we have come here several times, and we have tried to plead with you with regards to the B9 warehouse project on Mettlersen Schoolhouse on moral grounds and ethical grounds and environmental grounds. And many of the people here today will speak about that. But I would like to take a different approach and talk about the economic aspect of this. And I thought to myself, well, okay, well, this township values warehouses very much, and as a source of revenue, right? Who can blame the council and the economic development director and all the other people that advise the township government? And then I thought to myself, well, what about us? What about the 55-plus communities? Because Franklin Township has a considerable number of retirement communities. So there must have been, at some point, an economic incentive to attract retirement communities. In addition to Canal Walk, we have Somerset Run, and we have Renaissance, and a few others that I don't recall their names right now. So I would like to argue that we need to do a cost-benefit analysis with regards to what is the tax revenue from the retirement communities and what is the tax revenue to the township from warehouses. And my question to the council is, can you provide us with that information? How much revenue is coming in at the present moment from warehouses, and how much is coming in from retirement communities? Anyway, but interestingly, I just want to point out, for whatever remaining time I have, that at least the literature that's out there about retirement communities point to the fact that not only we're having an increasingly aging population in the U.S., but retirees, especially pensioners, are contributing tremendously to the economic stability of the local economy. And I'm pretty sure that those numbers are pretty evident to you because you look at what's coming in and what we are spending in restaurants, supermarkets, gas stations, and on and on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Bridget Brown. I live at 2108 Enclave Circle in Canal Walk. Some weeks ago, there was mention of a traffic study to be initiated in light of the potentially huge increase in truck-trailer traffic from the proliferation of warehouse proposals. What is the status of this study? And if it's already in progress, do you have a date for its scheduled completion? Thank you very much.
Janet Goldstein, 47 Saratoga Court. I would like to tell you that before I lived in Canal Walk, I lived in a house that was 1,000 feet from a warehouse. But we had no trouble with the noise from the warehouse because the Township of North Brunswick had taken a stand. It said the people who live in residential areas are entitled to have only this much light coming in from your facility, only this much noise coming in from this facility, and they're entitled to have 500 feet between where you're parking the trucks and letting them idle and the residential property line. We have come here several times to ask how the noise will be controlled for the B9 warehouse, and we have a council that sits here like the Sphinx and has nothing to say. Do you think that the council in North Brunswick has somehow more courage than you have? They don't feel that the warehouses can't be spoken to and can't be disciplined, and I don't know why you feel this way. I would really like to have an answer.
Else wishing to speak?
Hello, my name is Angela Kavaleski. I live at 1 Hale Place, and I'm a member of the Citizens Warehouse Action Group. I have lived in Somerset for 7 years. However, I have made a big investment in Franklin Township by educating the township's children at Franklin High School for 27 years before retiring 20 years ago. I know the township well, and I placed many of my marketing cooperative ed students in jobs in the businesses, in the warehouses that we hear about all the time in this township, going back almost 50 years since I'm retired, 20, so I'm quite old. I watched businesses come and go, and I've made many friends. Tonight, though, I'm here to talk about Branchburg, where I lived prior to moving to Franklin. Branchburg voters have approved a referendum of 2,669 to 1,912 margin to allow the Township Committee to spend taxpayer money to buy property to avoid their development as warehouses. It will keep the land until it is sold or repurposed. They have listened to the community and acted responsibly. Perhaps they have considered the many qualities of life factors that we have been hearing about for months here at the Franklin Township meetings from citizens such as flooding, air pollution, noise, overall traffic and safety, scenic corridors being destroyed, proximity to schools. The Branchburg land that's being purchased is near RVCC on 28 and 22. The negative effects on adjacent properties, or maybe they decided to use forward thinking. In the Township of Franklin, you need to respond to the citizens' concerns and not say, I did my job by bringing in warehouses and take the easy way out. It seems like hard work and effort are lacking here. What will happen when the warehouses become vacant in a few years down the road? Will the Township Committee and the Planning Board then have done their job? Will we be stuck with these ugly 50-foot tall mega monstrosities that blight our community and damage our environment? If you want to follow the trend at the beginning and not at the end, like Branchburg, Hillsborough, Bridgewater, just to name a few of the towns, to plan how to halt these warehouses, the warehouse sprawl in Franklin as well. The council and the planning board need to consider and become more effective in their planning for the township they represent. They need to follow or revise the master plan, complete the long overdue traffic study, including cumulative truck traffic in the industrial areas near 287, rezone where needed. Better late than never. My last sentence, can I say the last sentence?
Go ahead.
The council and the planning board need to listen to the citizens and vote no on warehouses being built in Franklin. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sudhir Shah from 74 Bryant Court in Somerset, New Jersey. I'm part of one of the citizen warehouse group that's all here. And I want to piggyback on the discussion about the traffic study. First of all, a couple of weeks ago, or a few weeks ago, you had mentioned that you in principle agreed to perform the traffic study, recognizing the fact that the traffic is going to increase because of all the new development that is planned or going to happen. Okay. First of all, I'm happy that you're going to do this piece. Okay. So here are my questions regarding the traffic studies. First of all, how much time will it take to perform the traffic study? Because I think the bids are going out for finding the companies to do the traffic studies. Second piece is, are you going to perform the traffic study during winter time frame, or is that a good time? Okay. Third question is whether this will cover the Western Canal Road, because that's a part of county and not the township. And the most important piece, what is the goal of the traffic study? From my simple mind, it says two things. First goal is the study will assist township for planning the widening the roads and signals, putting signals and whatnot. That means spending more money to support the new development. Second goal could be, or is the study going to help to put a stop on all the development? So what are your goals for the traffic studies? Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak?
Don't start yet. Good evening. Jan Brandt, 22 Bryant Court. First, I want to say thank you to the mayor, Mr. Vornlacher, the council people, because there are many things that you have done to help us in this struggle that we're having. One of the things that Mr. Vornlacher told me early on, you could clap if you want, that told me early on was to get a lawyer. So anyway, I hired a stormwater report expert, and a stormwater report was done, and the report states that the pond, this is for B9, the pond and the drainage feature were not properly considered by the applicant. The extent of flooding impacts from the proposed development that could be realized downstream at Canal Walk and other downstream communities. The applicant should complete a flood hazard area application and obtain permits from NJDEP for the FHA disturbances in accordance with those regulations. There were many more deficiencies of the proposed warehouse project. I know that you all have stressed to us that you can't just stop a warehouse, that it's zoned for that area. I really want to alert you all that there are deficiencies in these reports, in the stormwater report, and I hope that it's looked at closely. I'm concerned about something that is happening at Canal Walk right now. We have a homeowners association that is trying to mitigate with Link Logistics before it goes to the planning board, and they're promising extra dirt for the residents, they're promising money that goes to the tree fund, and they're also promising a fence. Pretty much the tree fund money and the extra dirt aren't anything that's going to cost Link Logistics anything, but maybe the fence. And this is before they want to not observe the scenic corridor. And I know you all have promised us that the scenic corridor is a difference, and we really want to make sure that the scenic corridor is observed and that these mitigation efforts by the Homeowners Association Board, which doesn't represent many of us citizens, is not, that the scenic corridor is not ignored due to these mitigation efforts. I worry that when it goes to the planning board, that Link Logistics is going to say, hey, look at everything we've done here. We're going to give them money in their tree fund. We're going to, give them extra dirt. Please ignore the variances of the scenic corridor. So I really want to alert you that there are problems with the stormwater report. We don't want any potential flooding. So I urge you to make sure that the scenic corridor is observed in that area and that variances can't slip through the door. And maybe, hopefully, Link Logistics will do the right thing and not cause our communities to have flooding. I know that they always propose, they always advertise that they're doing good things for the environment and doing good things for the people. So maybe Link Logistics will do something good for our community, and maybe it could be for open space. That would be the best thing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Shirley Tallman, 57 Tallman Lane. I want to first congratulate the Environmental Commission. I've been attending a number of their meetings. Unfortunately, I missed last night because nobody reminded me. But that being said, I learned something at one of the commission meetings that the Environmental Commission that concerns me. It might seem like a small thing, but I just want to echo what Jan just said, that the HOA meeting that we had with Howard Cohen the other night was extremely disappointing to me. And it was very clear to me when he responded to my question that he really didn't know some of the things that he needs to know to make a difference for the residents of Canal Walk in this matter. And what I'm referring to is that the Environmental Commission discovered that the amount of money that a developer is being charged per tree when they rip them out, cut them down, destroy them, is so undervalued that someone here has not in this room necessarily, but someone has not done their job. It almost sounded like it was decades ago that the dollar value, or was it even cents, that they're being charged is not in today's current value. That may, it may seem like a small thing, but I have sat here through planning meeting after planning meeting, and I have heard these variances, and I've heard these developers getting exactly what they want. And so it makes me wonder, are they paying their fair share? And I would ask that you look into this. Thank you.
Hi, Alex Strauss, 285 Hazlitt Way, Somerset. Just about Link Logistics and B9 Schoolhouse. Isn't 2 projects enough for Link Logistics / Blackstone? 2 projects. They already have One Wiley Drive over there by Mavis. That's almost 400,000 square feet. And of course, we know that B9 Schoolhouse was approved, and that's about 200,000 square feet. So it's about 600,000 square feet. Isn't that enough? This is not Link Logistics Township. This is not Amazon Township. This is Franklin Township. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak?
Correct something. I made a mistake. Yeah. B9 Cottontail. I'm sorry. There's just so many. So that was a 200 Cottontail. That was the one that was approved. I'm sorry. B9 Schoolhouse, of course, has not been approved yet. Thank you.
Maybe I'm the last one. Marlon Kwan, 28 Jay's Corner. I've been up here a number of times. You've heard from a lot of the residents, not only in Canal Walk, but also in town. And what concerns me is not necessarily just B9, but all of the requests that we've been making through these number of months. The traffic study, although I applaud the council to move ahead and look for competitive bids for the study, really doesn't do very much right now in terms of helping the community to forestall a lot of the proposed warehouse developments. So once again, I ask the council to reconsider and ask you to set a moratorium on all approvals. It doesn't mean they can't build, but just set a moratorium until a legitimate traffic study looking at the impact of the entire aggregate of all the trucks and vehicles is completed. There are many other townships that have put this moratorium in place. So I cannot see why we need to stand back and allow something to go forward when we really don't have all the facts. Secondly, we've also asked for an ordinance which we really appreciate the council moving forward on with regards to trucks. We last found out that 4-ton and 8-ton really is meaningless when it comes to allowing trucks to move. So we're asking for a revision on the ordinance to prevent 18-wheelers specifically on the ordinances that were passed. And you may not have it restricted 24 hours a day, but certainly between the hours of 11 at night and 6 a.m. in the morning. And lastly, we ask that any warehouse that is within the areas of residential properties, and you can define the number of feet, whether it's 500, 1,000, or 2,000 feet, or a quarter mile away. Whatever you do is still better than nothing to prevent them from operating 24 hours a day and only operating between the hours of 6 a.m. in the morning and 11 o'clock at night. So I would appreciate if you can reconsider and move this along for us. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Sally Zaharchuk. I live at 4 Constitution Way in Somerset. I've spoken to this group before. Tonight I want to kind of maybe reset, recalibrate my purpose here. I'm married to an engineer, an NJIT graduate. I've heard all the engineering, read the engineering studies, read the water studies. We've evaluated the people in this township and the people in Canal Walk are not stupid people. We're intelligent, we're well-educated, and we are concerned citizens. We also appreciate what you're doing and the value you bring to the township. Please let me make it very clear. We understand you may have thought you were doing your best. I need to ask you to reset some of your vision for the township. I understand the lawyers. I raised a lawyer, a Cardoza graduate corporate lawyer. I raised her. I understand the legal issues. I understand the corporate issues. I was a corporate director in Manhattan. I understand it all. What I do not understand, and I implore you, for you to consider and reset your vision on what is best for the citizens of this community, Franklin Township. Is it best to continue to infiltrate this town with tractor trailers and warehouses, or could you perhaps reset your vision and consider, I don't know how many of you live in Franklin Township. I know Mark Healy lives in Red Bank, where my son owns a financial planning company. I know some of you do not live in the township, from the planning board, the town council, the zoning board perhaps. I get that. But you're all parents, sons, husbands, fathers, and intelligent people, and I implore you to put the citizens of this township first. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Shauna College at 2201 Jockey Hollow Trail. Just have some questions for you. I would request that you post no truck red signs on Schoolhouse Road at Randolph and Weston Canal Roads, just like you did at Elizabeth Ave and Brunswick Roads. Those truckers cannot see those little signs, and you've got a nice little big red sign, so the truckers will notice it much better. I'm just requesting if that is possible. Also, if the 4-ton restrictions on the trucker GPS maps, so they can't claim that they don't know about restrictions, and ask the warehouses if they can tell the truckers about restrictions. Your trucks go Schoolhouse Road all the time. I know some of them are deliveries, but there are some big trucks that go on Schoolhouse Road from Metlers to Weston Canal. So they're not following directions because they're over 4 tons. Also, will the ask restrict? Oh, I asked you that. Okay. And then the last thing is I know it's hard to enforce. You've mentioned several times to call the police. By the time you call the police, it takes 30, 40, 45 minutes. I know it's not an emergency, but if you can enforce something with cameras or officers, because it's impossible pretty much for us to identify every truck going by our condo on Schoolhouse Road, especially. Many of them have no markings on their trailers. They go by too fast to photograph their cabs or license plates. Also, it's against the law to use your phone, take a picture. Another thing, on Schoolhouse Road, there's big trucks that come by and park right in front of our condo, right in front of the Jamestown building. I've worked with your director of transportation. I'm not sure if it's a doctor or Mr. Spurrell, I think
It's
is
actually the public safety director,
Okay,
not
public safety,
transportation.
okay,
And
public
her
safety.
name is Quovelis
Okay.
Mayweather.
Okay, but I talked to somebody in that name, and I call the police department, and they know exactly who it is, and they'll send an officer over to watch the trucks in front of, because they're parked right in front of it, and it's a dangerous area. I don't know how many police patrol that. I know it's just one area. I mean, there's a lot of crime and all that, but somehow if your presence is there once in a while, the police, then it will help a little bit, because people slow down when you see a police car. But mainly is signage and et cetera. So thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak?
Seeing no one coming forward, Mayor, a motion to close the public portion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor of closing public portion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Public portion is closed. Council comments. Start with Mr. Vasanella.
Okay. So thank you for the commentary tonight. Congratulations to the Environmental Commission. Obviously, some of the stuff we've heard before, but I've also heard some interesting questions and commentary, so I'm just going to respond to some of it. I heard all of it, and I'm not taking any of it for granted. Just for the sake of time, I'm just going to address certain points that were made tonight. First of all, I'm not against a traffic study. It's fine. I personally don't need one to tell me that we are beyond capacity, meaning to maintain our... Thank you. So as far as maintaining the quality of life that I think is slipping away from us. This traffic study may help, but, what about a health study? What about how do you gauge the slow destruction of a beautiful township? How do you... scenic corridors, and I know we have some technical legal ground having to do with scenic corridors. Basically, this entire town at one point was very scenic. Less and less is being described that way. As far as the vacancies, whenever I hear somebody say a great rateable as the first thing when they're trying to pitch an idea or a concept or a change of direction in economic development or any area, I take pause, because often it comes at the expense of quality of life. So ratables are fine, but I personally never had the vision that we had to gobble up as many as possible. The warehouses do provide some, and I'm glad we have some. I'm not glad we have as many as we have. So you can do all kinds of studies, and maybe we need to do all kinds, but really I don't personally, I'm not an attorney, but think we have to have a pile of studies to justify what is home rule land use decisions. And the threat of lawsuits, of course we should be conscious of it, but it definitely, kind of like the rateable thing, should give pause, because when that's the first suggestion, oh, you can't do that, or shouldn't do that, or don't try that, or case law might stumble you up in higher court, I also take pause, because a lot of what we do is trying to dig in and fight against people who have almost unlimited resources. So a couple other quick things. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen when warehouses are no longer trendy. And, I know this isn't the compressor station, and some of you may be familiar with that. For years, we fought that battle. No, I'm not saying it's a compressor station. But the fact is, those warehouses, for the most part, are not benefiting, servicing, or employing the people in this room or the people in this township. So when a bunch of them are sitting empty, and eventually some of them will, perhaps not, but yeah, then you have an eyesore that, yes, it collects taxes, but the taxes are severely affected if it's not being utilized, rented, if it's not making profit for the owners. And that's what our tax appeal system basically deals with. On a commercial level, most of the time is because of vacancies or lack of revenue. So, just jumping in ratables needs to be given a lot of thought. As far as what can be done, the word moratorium, you use that all of a sudden, oh, you can't do that. Well, generally speaking, you probably can't say you can't ever build anything warehouse-wise. We don't want you to. But you can get aggressive, and I personally would support, if a lawyer brings in a mound of case study that says we're going to be torn up in court, that's one thing. But until I saw something like that basically says, no way, don't get assertive and don't go in that direction, I would like us to be as assertive as possible. Shut down to whatever possible degree a township has the home rule legal right to do. Any warehousing going forward, obviously we can't shut it all down. We're having a land use meeting next week, and I'll close on this. I believe we're trying to schedule it. Usually it's this week, but with Thanksgiving, we're rescheduling it. But somebody had brought up about the tree ordinance. Mr. Vornlocker and I have been exchanging emails for several days now. He's looking into it with our attorney. The Shade Tree Commission, along with the Environmental Commission, have been looking at this, being a liaison to the Shade Tree Commission. I'm involved in hoping to push an ordinance to council concerning the reimbursement. But without getting into the details, because we're working on them now, hopefully we'll have a full report, perhaps an ordinance, but if nothing else, a report as to where that's going. But Shade Tree Commission's working on a lot of things with the Environmental Commission, including that issue, which isn't specifically to target warehouses, but any development. We have to start making sure we are getting not only everything we deserve, but everything we want when it comes to developers. And it's not just about charging them money, but when they are paying, just like the parking situation for years, the bank a parking spot, like you can destroy a tree and pay a fee, you can not provide a parking spot and pay a fee. All these things, I don't, they're not all related to warehouses, but we need to stay on top of it all. But as far as what we can do, I believe our manager will hopefully bring some options to our land use committee and other committees that will be reviewing this. But I personally would take any aggressive step that we can via ordinance to slow down and bring at least very slow, if not to a halt, further warehouse applications, and keeping a tight lid or control over the ones that are going through the process now. On that note, sorry to take up so much time. Happy Thanksgiving, and see you in December.
Councilwoman Francois.
Good evening, everybody. I heard a lot tonight, especially about the signage and the lady that talked about the stormwater detention, and potentially the flooding, which is something that, wasn't on my radar before. And also the curfew, I'm not sure what we can do legally. The moratorium, what's the goal of the traffic study? I'm sure our township manager will certainly address that.
I'll get to all of that and more when you get to me.
And the time frame and the completion. So one of the things we try to do is allow you guys to speak and write down your concerns and address them during our council comments, so we don't have the back and forth. We need to hear from you. So we heard a lot, and as Councilman Vassanella said, there is a land use committee meeting scheduled for next Wednesday. A lot of these items will be brought up and considered in terms of the moratorium and what we can do and what our options and alternatives are and how aggressive we can be legally. We need to consider that. We do care about your quality of life, the health concerns, the noise pollution, all the things that you brought up tonight. And all of us have been very, very concerned about the fact that we need to do more, and we're trying to figure out what we can do. So your concerns have been heard. We appreciate the fact that you all come here and talk to us and show us how concerned you are about Franklin and how much you love Franklin Township, as we do. And by the way, every council member up here has to be a resident of Franklin Township. So we do live here, and this is our town, and we want to do the best for you and for all the residents and the businesses in Franklin Township. So we hear you, and we care about you, and we thank you, and happy Thanksgiving.
Councilman Onijaka.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. We've had a lot on this issue of a house, other issues, Franklin. One thing is very, very certain. We have different committees that are actually handling those issues. On my own part, I will say let us wait until the result comes out, then the council will look into it. Based on that note, based on what my fellow council members have said, I'll just wait. What I have. On that note, I wish everybody good Thanksgiving this time. And at the same time, congratulate the Environmental Commission for that is what I have this night.
Thank you. Member Potasnik.
Good evening, everyone. I had a chance to recognize the Environmental Commission, so I'll leave that off. But the Women's Club and the work that they've done over the last century is really to be commended, and that leadership continues. And so I just wanted to congratulate them as well, and thank Councilwoman Francois for recognizing their contributions. Earlier today, I'm not going to say much about warehouses because I think I've been pretty outspoken about my shared concerns, and that there'll be some information coming out from my day job at New Jersey League of Conservation Voters about a workshop that we'll be doing that's, I don't want to say exciting, but I think will be very informative, and I'll share that information when I have a date for December to help communities like ours and citizens like those who are with us and those who are with us in spirit take this issue head on. And earlier today, I was with Chief Vincent Mann, who is a Native American, chief of the Turtle Clan of the Lenape Ramapo tribe and nation. And he spent about an hour with my staff. And one of the questions that I asked him was in relation to Thanksgiving. So I want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. But I asked him with regard to Thanksgiving and Native Americans and what does this day mean to him. And I think I'm quoting, sort of paraphrasing, that it's a sham and lies. And everything we learned in school is really a joke. And so I just would reflect what he did in his invocation and what he shared with me is, as we get together for Thanksgiving, it doesn't mean it should take away from our family and our time together. But remember, we took the land that didn't belong to us, and we have deeds to it, but it's no one's land. It's everyone's land. It is just a piece of paper that we say has ownership, doesn't take away the price tag or our laws or diminish any of that. But the Native people who were here before us have been wronged in a major way. You know, there's no tribe in New Jersey that's been nationally recognized, 3 that are state recognized, and no lands that they maintain for their subsistence, for food, for gathering, for hunting, and it's quite a big wrong. And just to reflect on that as we celebrate with our families and as we take on our battles, which, you know, we are working through in this time period with this set of laws, and know that, you know, it's not as nice as just putting your hand on a piece of paper and drawing a turkey and everyone getting along and communing. There was a lot of backstabbing and taking that happened. It doesn't diminish the holiday, the fact that we recognize it together, but we can't leave out that painful part of our history. And that was I was pretty moved today earlier. And the other piece that I'd mention is many of us in the LGBT community are sort of reeling still from what happened in Colorado at Club Q. You know, it stands in contrast to a lot of things that we've seen across the nation. It's the worst of what we have in America. But, you know, 5 people died in another mass shooting. It's up over, I think, 300 across America. And the reason this guy, this terrorist, this bigoted, likely terrorist, was stopped was because one individual took it upon themselves to use their fist, not a gun, not a good guy with a gun, a good guy with a fist, to take down a shooter and save lives. And a drag queen with a pair of high heels to add into that moment, which is sort of picturesque to think about, but also, you know, very upsetting. And I know, you know, when you're part of a community, you experience things in different ways. If you're black and you have a senseless shooting or gun violence from a law enforcement officer, you know, there are many kinds of injustices that happen. But I think all of us stand together against that in Franklin Township, that we embrace the diversity that we have and stand together. And I mean, this gentleman in particular is to be commended, and I think all of us who know someone just understand that it is something that we carry with us. There's 4 times more likely if you're LGBT to have violence committed against you. That's a pretty high number. And so that's a difference that comes in, you know, hate. And so we have to be aware and be vigilant against it. I know Franklin Township is. And with that, I conclude my remarks tonight. And, of course, wish you all happy Thanksgiving.
Councilman Wright.
Mr. Mayor, I have nothing to say except because of my profession, I'm caught to say, remember, do not drink and drive. If you do drink, have somebody else drive for you, because we don't want you to become a statistic at this point in time in your life. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. So I'll try to address some of the things that were said. So the economics, the tax revenue of the warehouses versus retirement communities, that's easily done. I'll ask the manager to do that, and we'll get, where are you?
Oh,
There you are. We'll get that to you.
I'll ask you for the scope later, because
Right.
there's, you know, what I heard as a question tonight would be beyond really just the financial impact based solely on tax collection is simple.
Right. We'll discuss that. The traffic study, Mr. Vornlocker is the one who's best able to answer that. Limiting lights, that's actually already a requirement. Limiting noise, I'm working diligently with the Township Council. Thank you for pointing out North Brunswick. We will look at that and see what we can do to further protections. We do, by the way, buy open space. In the last 5 years, we've spent about $21 million on open, or we've bought $21 million worth of open space. We haven't, you know, bond for it, so we haven't spent $21 million, but we've purchased $21 million worth of open space. Traffic study, stormwater. If that point is valid and holds out, that's going to be very useful. Congratulations on that work. We can look into the tree charges. As far as 2 projects enough, I think you pretty much can understand we can't limit someone on the number of projects they're doing. That would have, if we had done that, there'd be 12 houses in Canal Walk as opposed to that's there. I think we are, I'll leave that to, I like the idea about the signs. Mr. Vornlacher can
I'll talk
comment
about that too.
on that. He's an expert on those things. And we are, the question about cameras, we've announced a couple of meetings ago that we are planning a network of cameras out there. Now, they can't be used for enforcement, that's state law, but we can use it to track, look at that. All the trucks leaving this warehouse seem to be ignoring these restrictions. Let's talk to that warehouse, and we can also station police accordingly from that. But we are going to, the current plan is to monitor these things very closely. In general, my comments are, we have heard you. I don't like, my wife is now teaching me how to play bridge. I don't, and boy, for those of you who play, it's hard. It's very complicated. But one thing I do when I play cards is I don't like to show my hand. So I'm discussing things with council members, I'm discussing things with Mr. Vornlacher, I'm discussing things with our attorney to see what we can do. While I am not afraid of a lawsuit, I don't want to go into a lawsuit that I know I'm going to lose, because that just wastes your time and your money and doesn't get us anywhere. But I'm listening. I know the rest of council is listening. It may look like we're doing nothing, but we are doing things and discussing things and working towards that goal. I had spoken to council about these discussions similar to what you are talking about, to be discussed in land use and discussed at the economic development meeting. Those are places where we meet as 4 people and we can discuss township things without breaking the sunshine law. So we are listening to you. Your voices are not muffled and silent and passing us. We hear you, and we are doing what we can. It may not look like that, but hopefully you will see that in due time. Happy Thanksgiving, and the club queue just broke my heart. I think that's sufficient to say about it, otherwise I'll become emotional. There we go. All right, that completes my comments. Township Attorney, do you have any comments?
Mayor, I really don't. I think you said most of what we were going to say. I will look at the North Brunswick ordinance. I'm lucky that my longtime partner, Ron Gordon, is actually the town attorney there, so has been for years. So we'll take a look at that. The mayor and I and the township manager have been working on the hours of operation ordinance, which we hope to be able to roll out maybe next meeting. Just a couple of things that I want to point out. The members of the planning board and members of the zoning board are all residents of the town. The professionals may not be, though some of us have been here a long time, and we're proud of the fact that we come to work every day and try to protect the township's interests, and I think we do it. So, Mayor, there are lots of legal questions that are asked, and I hope people don't take my silence as meaning that I agree or don't agree with them. Ordinances have consequences. We passed it, people are talking about buffer ordinances. Well, we passed one, and that's a 500-foot buffer. We got sued 6 times. I'm not the kind of person who is going to discuss the strengths and weaknesses of the township's case at a public council meeting. Suffice to say, and anybody who wants to go on e-court and read those lawsuits, you're going to see that the remarks made by you and the remarks made by council people are all quoted in those lawsuits. So I think, as the mayor says, you know, playing it close to the vest, the answer is I think we understand what we're doing here. The township's got a reputation of being aggressive with regards to its zoning ordinances and defending them, and I think we'll continue to do that. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Bornlacher.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I will address some of the items that came up from the public tonight. I have my little notes here. First, I'll address, said there were several residents that questioned about the timing and length of time for a traffic study. So the traffic study will be part of a greater reexamination of the master plan that will be undertaken by the planning board. The scope of that is currently being done by township staff, in particular township engineer and township planner, to determine the scope of the traffic study. What is it that we're looking to re-examine as part of the master plan, and what is then the need for the traffic study? Now, there was a question about, you know, well, will it go in this direction or that direction? Well, to be truly unbiased in a study, the study needs to proceed and determine, you know, what the outcome shouldn't be predetermined. The outcome is determined as a result of the data that's collected and the analysis of that data. That's a true scientific study. So that's what will be done. So I can't tell you, if the outcome will lead to we need more traffic lights, or the outcome will lead to we should have less development or more development, or the idea of doing a study is to find out what exactly is going on and what is predicted to happen in the future. Generally speaking, a study like this looks at and does an analysis of current conditions. So and then you have a build, no build condition, and then there's a build out condition. So we have, it'll look at, you know, proposed development, current proposed development in the aggregate, in the BI zones in particular is, I think, what will be the focus of that, in those outlying areas surrounding the BI zone and the impacts that it has there. You know, we took, at least, and I'm saying I took a long, hard look at the Abington-Ney study that was commissioned by the township in 1985 as a result of the increase in development of office buildings in Franklin Township. You know, the studying of traffic is not one of those things that there's huge developments in the field over time. I mean, it's cars and trucks driving on the road, right? I mean, so, you know, traffic backs up and it creates inconveniences and what have you. So the idea of using the Abington-Ney study as some of a source of information as to how that study was done. Things were done such as origin and destination studies. We also did that in a study that I was involved with the Middle Bush bypass study back in the early 2000s, when there was an idea to build a road that bypassed the village of Middle Bush. Ultimately, that did not get built, and that's why the people in Somerset Run live there, because otherwise there would have been a major highway through their development. So that study was done in the early 2000s, and a decision was made not to do that, but there were a large number of other improvements that came out of that study that were put into place, and that is one of the reasons why you have things like a traffic light at Wilson, Treptow and Cedar Grove, and Weston and Cedar Grove, and the realigned intersection of Amwell and Cedar Grove that used to look much different, and the intersection of South Middlebush and Amwell, which is much different than what it used to be. All of those recommendations from that study were implemented to make traffic more efficient. So, and this study will have some of that, I'm sure, but it'll also have some of the type classification studies. What type of traffic is it? It might be 1,000 cars, or is it 1,000 trucks, or what's the mix? So that's the kind of study that will be done, and we're in the process of developing that scope. It's one thing that we'll also talk next week at the land use meeting about the scope development for the study. I understand what Councilman Basanel is saying. However, it is an important part of planning. Traffic is an important part of planning. It's why we have a circulation element as part of the master plan. And that circulation element, as some of you know, because I know some of you have recently read it, was done in 2021. And we commissioned that study as part of the master plan revisions that were done as part of the 2016 and a reexamination that took place later. We specifically put that out to a professional firm by bid because in the past we had done it in-house, and we felt that with all of the development that was taking place, we wanted to have that circulation element done by an outside firm, fresh eyes, sometimes look at things differently. That's why it was done that way. So that is why it is important to look at the traffic as the overall impacts of development. That's generally what people see and experience the most as part of development. So I think I covered enough on the traffic study. Signs, GPS, and cameras. The mayor touched briefly on cameras. We have discussed that here. I'm not going to belabor it. I have the Traffic Safety Bureau and the Police Department and the Engineering Department looking at intersections where they feel that traffic cameras would be beneficial to show not only things like truck violators, but also just general security in that general area of the township, which we think would be beneficial. GPS, our engineering department is already working with the major GPS manufacturers, in particular those companies that provide software specifically to the trucking industry, to have those weight-restricted roads added to the network so that they don't use them for routing purposes. And signs. We also have a pretty comprehensive sign plan that is, I think we're at this point, we have the last little bit of review by Somerset County Engineering as far as directional and weight limit signs on Weston Canal Road, at Schoolhouse Road, and then some directional signs at Randolph and Cottontail. And then there's also we call them wayfarer signs. In particular, it will be to direct traffic towards 287 away from those areas where we don't want the traffic and onto the roads where it's more appropriate to get those vehicles to and from Route 287. If you're on Elizabeth Avenue and you see that one of the signs that is similar to the things that we're looking to do is on Elizabeth Avenue near Campus Drive, and it directs trucks down Campus Drive towards the industrial area of the township as opposed to continuing on into southbound Brook. And just that whole plan is in its final stages as well, so that should be done shortly. Mr. Kwan and I have a meeting next week. However, I'll tell him now. I love your ideas about keeping trucks off the road. Unfortunately, the higher level courts in our country have felt differently. There's a number of court cases in the United States that talk about the limiting of public vehicles on public roadways. And while we can limit the weight of a vehicle, we can't do an outright elimination of trucks on roads. Deliveries need to be made. In fact, even in the section of Schoolhouse Road, right now as we're speaking, the section of Schoolhouse Road between Randolph and Weston Canal that has a weight restriction has 3 commercial properties. One right at the intersection of Randolph Road and 2 further west that are currently served by driveways on Schoolhouse Road that are within that weight-restricted area. Those businesses have to be able to get goods and vehicles in and out of their buildings. We have a trucking company, and it has been there, and that trucking company actually predates the zoning ordinances in Franklin Township. It's on Burger Street. That trucking company has been there since the 1940s. Burger Street has a weight limit. It's in the middle of a residential neighborhood. that trucking company is exempt from that weight restriction. That's the law, not the law of Franklin, but the law of the land. And you know, we can't just say tractor trailers can't go on a road. When you see restrictions on the type of vehicle, generally the length of a vehicle, it's because of some physical constraint. That, you know, we have some roads that we could probably do it on in town because they have some physical constraint. A grade that is so steep and windy that you would restrict trucks. But in general, a road like Schoolhouse Road, which is restricted because of the nature of that particular area, not because of the nature of the road, that 4-ton weight limit is oftentimes, maybe incorrectly, but is referred to as a political weight limit. It's not because of some physical issue with the road, a bridge too low, a bridge that can't handle weight, road too narrow, road too windy, a grade. That's when you have other types of restrictions. But it would not be possible to restrict vehicles based on the type of vehicle it is, other than by weight, and when they have no reason to make a delivery or a pickup on that road, then they're in violation, whether it's a small truck or a big truck, 18 wheels or 6. So I think I covered all of that as far as the public tonight. I had a conversation this morning with Councilwoman Pruitt, who is quite ill and is at home in bed, and could not make it here tonight. Councilwoman Pruitt had proposed and pursued a town hall meeting in reference to, you know, what is a master plan and how does a master plan get revised. That master plan town hall meeting is scheduled for December 12th, which is a Monday at 7 p.m. here. It will be advertised on the township social media and websites. It's not a council meeting. There's no quorum required of you. It's a town hall meeting. Mr. Healy, our planner, and I'm hoping that I can get the planning board attorney as well to be present to have an open forum town hall meeting. And that, again, Councilwoman Pruitt's kind of spearheaded the effort, along with the input of the township council members, both here and not here tonight. And so that will proceed on December 12th, 7 p.m. here. For those of you who are interested in having a discussion on traffic with our police department, if you have a Facebook account, if you don't, you can create a Facebook account just for this and then get rid of it if you want. The police department holds Tuesday night talks on Facebook Live. They have a variety of topics. In particular, and I don't even know, is December 6th a Tuesday or is it an off day? I don't have my calendar in front of me, but it's on December 6th. It's at 6 p.m. The topic for the police department's Tuesday night talk on December 6th will be traffic and traffic concerns and the abilities and limitations of the police department to do or not do things related to traffic enforcement. Also on that particular Tuesday night talk, there will be a special guest. It will be the Somerset County Prosecutor, John McDonald. While Mr. McDonald is a seasoned attorney and prosecutor, I don't know that he has much to offer as far as traffic is concerned, but if you have any other questions for the county prosecutor, he'll be on that call, on that online meeting as well. So I think that's all I have for my comments tonight, Mr. Mayor, and then I have some. 6 p.m., I'm sorry, it's December 6th, 6 p.m., Facebook Live, Township Police Department's Facebook page.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. People are going to get up now and talk in the lobby. Please close the door. Council chamber so we can continue. I'm actually going to deviate from the agenda and make a motion. We have 2 sick council members. We have a council member away. I'd like to make a motion to excuse the absence of Councilman Barrison, Councilwoman Pruitt, and Councilwoman Ud. Second on that motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor of the excused absence, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion is carried.
Yes.
Oh, we still have our normal business. But we're in our meeting now. Yes, that's it.
We're on to council discussion item.
I have it, Mrs. Peterson,
2023
and the police
best
department is
practices
aware.
checklist.
We're in the meeting right now, Mrs. Peterson. Okay. Fine.
Mr. Vornlocker, did you want to present the best practices?
I don't know that I necessarily want to present 14 pages of the report. What I can do is give commentary on the outcome of our annual best practices inventory. The best practices inventory is required by the state of New Jersey of all municipalities, and it's directly tied towards our state aid annually. And this year, a minimum score to receive 100% of your state aid was a 24, and we received a 35. So we're comfortably, our margin is comfortable as far as continuing to receive 100% of our state aid. And if any council members have any questions on the inventory, I'll be more than happy to answer them.
I have one question.
Sure.
On item 30, which is how much did your municipality spend on operational costs associated with managing and treating stormwater runoff?
Yes.
In the prior fiscal year. It mentions things like street cleaning, and then I see in the comment it says 20,000, and then 2020, 100,000 for drainage improvements. Does that include street cleaning, or is that not broken out? Is it possible to add that in? I mean, it would just be helpful for me to
Well,
know.
it's an unscored category.
Yeah.
And so the answer is this was done with the Public Works Department identified those things that, and I'm trying to get to the number here, 30. So it is, the capital budget for capital budget for 2020 included $100,000 for drainage improvements.
But we do street sweeping, right? So
Well, no, so the other part of it is, yes, absolutely, we do street sweeping, and that's, so the costs associated with that stormwater question, also the $20,000 would include street sweeping and the disposal of that material once the street sweeping is done, because you can't just throw it in the garbage, you have to dispose of it.
It seems low to me, but 20,000 is do all.
It's yeah, I mean, it's the street sweeping, this is just the maintenance on the street sweeper, that's not the labor cost.
Got it.
Just the cost of doing, the
hard costs.
The hard costs, thank you, that's the word. The hard costs, so yes.
So like the lawnmower, not the person who rides
Not the person pushing the lawnmower, right, it's for maintenance of the basins that we're responsible for, and street sweeping. That's the two big things.
All right, very good. That, I don't think we have to put on it.
No, you do just have to have it on your agenda.
We're now on to item number 10, approval of the minutes. I present the following minutes to the Township Council for their approval. Work session, regular meetings on September 28th, October 25th, and November 10th. Do I have a motion on the minutes?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Anyone have any corrections or comments? Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Onijaka?
Yes.
Councilmember Potosnik?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Approval of the warrants. Time to pay the bills of $13,699,555.65 on November 22nd, 2022. I present to the Township Council for payment. Do I have a motion on the warrants?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Anyone like to question an item or pull an item? Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Oni Jaka?
Yes.
Councilmember Petosnik?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
So we're on to item number 13, ordinances on introduction and first reading. When an ordinance is introduced, that's an announcement to the public that we are considering passing a new ordinance. Announces when there will be a second reading where the public will have the opportunity to speak and council will vote. Pass the ordinance 4385-22, an ordinance releasing, extinguishing, and vacating the rights of the property to a portion of the street known as Grant Street in the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey. The foregoing ordinance is presented to the Township Council for adoption on first reading, posting and publication in accordance with the law, and public hearing and final adoption at a meeting of the Township Council to be held on Tuesday, December 13th, 2022 at 7 p.m. in the council chamber. We have a motion on the item.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Mayor, I just wanted to mention, I did have some technical questions, but I don't think it's practical to get into them now. So I'm ready to move forward as it is. I think next week at our land use committee, if I forward Mr. Vorlocker the questions, I'm sure we'll be able to address them there. So just wanted to mention that. So I'm ready to move forward with it now, but had some questions I wanted to get answered before
Great.
final reading, or
Any other
second
discussion?
reading.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Oni Jaka?
Yes.
Councilmember Petosnik?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Ordinance number 4386-22, an ordinance releasing and extinguishing and vacating the rights of the public to the portion of the street known as Harding Avenue, formerly known as Hamilton Avenue, in the Township of Franklin, the County of Somerset, State of New Jersey. Foregoing ordinance is presented to Township Council for adoption on first reading, posting and publication, in accordance with law and public hearing, and final adoption at the meeting of the Township Council to be held on Tuesday, December 13th, 2022 at 7 p.m. in the council. We have a motion on the ordinance.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer? Councilman Oni Jaka?
Yes.
Councilmember Petosnik?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Ordinance number 4387-22, an ordinance amending the municipal code of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, more particularly Chapter 180, Fees, subsection 190-2, available from Collector of Revenue, Fees for duplicate tax title certificates. Foregoing ordinance is presented to Township Council for adoption on first reading, posting and publication in accordance with law and public hearing and final adoption at a meeting of the Township Council to be held on Tuesday, December 13th, 2022 at 7 p.m. in the council chambers. We have a motion on this item.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on this item? Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Oni Jaka?
Yes.
Councilmember Petosnik?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
The consent agenda, items A through H is listed on the consent agenda. Portion of this meeting are presented to Township Council for adoption. Do we have a motion on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Seconded. Any discussion? Comment that that's a
What is item number B?
B.
Like boy.
B is to advertise the sale of a liquor license.
That related, like when the township population grows? you
Yes,
can-
so we had advertised for the sale of a liquor license earlier this year and had no bidders. We've been given an indication that there are interested parties in a township liquor license, so we are advertising again for sealed bids on liquor license.
So 250 to 350 range now?
As far as, so it's a sealed bid, and I believe this is a consumption license.
It's both, one consumption and one
One
distribution.
distribution.
So
Yeah, so
consumption.
that's why the difference in value.
okay.
250 consumption, 350 minimum for distribution.
Distribution, okay,
Yes,
got it.
I was wondering why it was 250, 350 is my, that's
Okay,
why,
all
yes.
right, thank you, thank you.
Those are the minimum?
No,
That's
there's
the
different
minimum.
types of licenses.
That's the minimum, that's the
That would
minimum
be the
for a
minimum
license.
Oh, the minimum, yes.
They could bid higher, and they have in the past.
So the highest bid over the one for 250 and one for 350?
Correct.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
based on, well, recent market analysis.
Yes, exactly.
That's been what it's been for a while.
Yes,
Yeah,
correct.
okay, okay.
And we still
I
have
think the
more.
last distribution license that we sold, that sold, and that wasn't our distribution license, it was privately held, sold for about 600,000?
Yeah, well, we did sell one a few years ago, and we got close to 400,000
Yeah.
for it.
Is our minimum adequate?
I think it reflects the market currently.
Yeah, okay.
All right. And we still have others too, a few we're holding, right, for down the road?
Yes, we have
Yeah,
5
yeah.
other consumptions.
Yeah, we do, based on our population increase.
Little art and a little
Just keep
science.
it goes up
Okay.
based on population.
Thank you.
Want to go halvesies on it, Councilwoman?
More people live here, more places they need to go have a drink.
There's money to be made here. All right.
All right.
Any other comments or jokes?
Get a handle on this now.
Madam Clerk?
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Oni Chaka?
Yes.
Councilmember Petosnik?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
We have no meeting, no resolutions to be voted on separately, no old business. We do have an executive session to discuss attorney-client privilege. Is that the,
It's, street, excuse me, regarding Hamilton Street holding zoning board application.
do we have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. And all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion is carried. We'll be going into executive session. Videotaping at this time will stop. When we come out of executive session, no action will be taken other than adjourning the meeting. So that's the end of the video. Be well, Franklin.